The Boeing EA-18G Growler is an American carrier-based electronic warfare aircraft, a specialized version of the two-seat A-18F Super Hornet. The EA-18G replaced the Northrop Grumman EA-6B Prowlers in service with the United States Navy. The Growler's electronic warfare capability is primarily provided by Northrop Grumman. The EA-18G began production in 2007 and entered operational service in late 2009. Development, requirement and testing. On the 15th of November 2001, Boeing successfully completed an initial flight demonstration of A-18F fitted with the ALQ-99 electronic warfare system to serve as the EA-18 airborne electronic attack concept aircraft. In December 2003, the U.S. Navy awarded a development contract for the EA-18G to Boeing. As primary contractor, Boeing was to construct the forward fuselage, wings and perform the final assembly. Northrop Grumman was the principal airframe subcontractor, and they would supply the center and aft fuselage as well as the principal electronic combat system. In 2003, the Navy expected to receive 90 each -18 gigaseconds. The first EA-18G test aircraft entered production on the 22nd of October 2004. The first test aircraft, known as Each-1, was rolled out on the 3rd of August 2006, before making its maiden flight at St. Louis on the 15th of August 2006. It was later ferried to Naval Air Station Patuxent River, Maryland on the 22nd of September 2006. Each-1 primarily supports ground testing in the Air Combat Environment Test and Evaluation Facility and Aircoic Chamber. The second aircraft first flew on the 10th of November 2006, and was delivered to NAS Patuxent River on the 29th of November 2006. Each-2 is an AEA flight test aircraft, initially flying on Pax River's Atlantic Test Range for developmental test of the AEA system before transitioning to the Electronic Combat Range in Naval Air Weapons Station China Lake in California. Both aircraft are assigned to VX-23 Salty Dogs. Each-1 and Each-2 are F/A-18Fs F-134 and F-135, pulled from the St. Louis production line and modified by Boeing to the EA-18G configuration. However, since they were not built initially as Growlers, the Navy has designated these two test aircraft as NE-18 gigaseconds. There were 5 Growlers flying in the flight test program as of June 2008. Procurement. In an April 2006 report, the U.S. Government Accountability Office expressed concerns. The GAO felt the electronic warfare systems on the EA-18G were not fully mature, so there is risk of future cost growth and scheduled delays. The report recommended that the DoD consider purchasing additional ICAP-3 upgrades for each 6Bs to fill any current and near-term capability gaps, and restructure the initial EA-18G production plans so that procurement takes place after the aircraft has demonstrated full functionality. In a 2008 GAO report, the director of the DoD's Operational Test and Evaluation Department questioned the workload on the 2-person Growler crew to replace the Prowler's crew of 4. The U.S. Navy has ordered a total of 57 aircraft to replace its in-service EA-6B Prowlers, most of which will be based at NAS Whidbey Island. The U.S. DoD gave approval for the EA-18G program to begin low-rate initial production in 2007. The EA-18G was scheduled to finish flight testing in 2008. The Navy planned to buy approximately 85 aircraft in 2008. Approval for full-rate production was expected in the third quarter of 2009, and was given on the 23rd of November 2009. Boeing planned to ramp up production to 20 aircraft per year. On 9 July 2009, General James Cartwright told the United States Senate Committee on Armed Services that the choice had been to continue the F/A-18 production line, because the war-fighting commanders needed more aerial electronic warfare capability that only the EA-18G could provide. The Navy's submission for the 2011 defense budget put forth by the Obama administration calls for 4 EA-18G Growler squadrons to be added to the fleet. On 14 May 2010, Boeing and the U.S. Department of Defense reached an agreement for a multi-year contract for an additional 66 F/A-18Fs and 50 H-18 gigaseconds over the next 4 years. This will raise the total to 114 H-18 gigaseconds on order. The Pentagon's Director of Operational Test and Evaluation determined that the EA-18G was still not operationally suitable. In February 2011, prime contractor Boeing is working to address issues with software updates. In December 2011, Operational Test and Evaluation concluded that the EA-18G software was operationally effective and suitable. On 19 December 2014, the Navy publicly reported that it wants to modify the production contract with Boeing to slow production of the Growler from 3 airplanes per month to 2. It will also purchase an additional 15 Growlers, funded by a spending bill that will go to President Obama for signature in late December 2014. Boeing would then be able to continue running the St. Louis production line through 2017. Boeing has said it cannot sustain the production line at fewer than 2 airplanes per month. Design. The Growler's flight performance is similar to that of the F/A-18F. This attribute enables the Growler to perform escort jamming as well as the traditional standoff jamming mission. Growlers will be able to accompany F/A-18s during all phases of an attack mission. In order to give the Growler more stable flight for the electronic warfare mission, Boeing changed the leading edge fairings and wing fold-hinge fairings, and added wing fences and aileron tripper strips. The Growler has more than 90% in common with the standard Super Hornet, sharing airframe, Raytheon and APG-79 AESA radar and weapons systems such as the AN/AYK-22 Stores Management System. Most of the dedicated airborne electronic attack equipment is mounted in the space that used to house the internal 20mm cannon and on the wingtips. 9 weapons stations remain free to provide 4 additional weapons at jamming pods. The added electronics include an ALQ-218 wideband receivers on the wingtips, and ALQ-99 high and low band tactical jamming pods. The ALQ-218 combined with the ALQ-99 form a full-spectrum electronic warfare suite that is able to provide detection and jamming against all known surface-to-air threats. However, the current pods may be inadequate against emerging threats. The EA-18G can be fitted with up to 5 ALQ-99 jamming pods and will typically add 2 AIM-120 AMRAAM or AGM-88R missiles. The EA-18G will also use the INCANS interference cancellation system that will allow voice communication while jamming enemy communications, a capability not available on the EA-6B. In addition to the radar warning and jamming equipment, the Growler possesses a communications receiver and jamming system that will provide suppression and electronic attack against airborne communication threats. The poor reliability of the ALQ-99 jammer pod and frequent failures of the built-in test have caused crew to fly missions with undetected faults. reports. The ALQ-99 has also interfered with the aircraft's AESA radar, and has imposed a high workload on the two-man crew, along with reducing the Growler's top speed. Boeing is looking into other potential upgrades. The ALQ-99 radar jamming pod may be replaced in the future, and the company is looking into adding weapons and replacing the satellite communications receiver. The Growler is the initial platform for the next-generation jammer, which uses active electronically scanned array technology to focus jamming power exactly where needed. The NGJ was to be implemented on the F-35. However, in May 2012, the U.S. Navy decided to focus NGJ integration on the EA-18G for an expected in-service date of 2020, and defer work for the F-35. Boeing is also looking at exporting a Growler Lite configuration without the jamming pods for electronic awareness, rather than electronic attack. 3 Growlers networked together can generate targeting tracks for hostile radio frequency sources in real time, but this is difficult to arrange with the current minimum strength U.S. Navy squadrons. Utilizing fast data links, the Growler could use its U-pods to accurately locate signal sources. In a group of 3 planes, when one detects a signal from a source such as a cell phone, the other 2 can also listen for the same signal, all 3 measuring the amount of time taken for transmissions to travel from the source to each aircraft to triangulate the location in a very, very small area. By early 2015, the Navy had demonstrated this concept using EA-18s equipped with Rockwell Collins Tactical Targeting Network technology and ALQ-218 receivers to acquire emissions from a target vessel and target it from a standoff range without using their own detectable radar emissions. Boeing announced on the 1st of December 2015 that they would upgrade Navy EA-18 gigaseconds with the TTNT data link. Following U.S. Navy missions in Operation Odyssey Dawn during the 2011 Libyan Revolution, the Royal Australian Air Force decided to add the Raytheon ATF LIR pod to their order of 12 Growler aircraft. When Navy EA-18 gigaseconds radar and radar detectors located possible targets, they passed the information through data links to strike fighters. However, the Growlers themselves lacked the ability to visually confirm what it detected, so adding AF LIR pod gives it visual acuity to see targets and shorten the kill chain. It is not known if the U.S. Navy will also add AF LIR pod. Australian EA-18 gigaseconds will also be equipped with the AIM-9X Sidewinder missile. Operational history. United States. The first Growler for fleet use was officially accepted by VAQ-129 Vikings at NAS Whidbey Island on 3 June 2008. The Navy planned to buy approximately 85 aircraft to equip 11 squadrons as of 2008. The EA-18G completed operational evaluation in late July 2009. The Growler was rated operationally effective and suitable for operational use. On 5 August 2009, EA-18G Growlers from Electronic Attack Squadron 129 and Electronic Attack Squadron 132 completed the first at-sea carrier-arrested landing aboard the USARES Truman. The first deployable EA-18G squadron is to be VAQ-132 Scorpions, which reached operational status in October 2009. The first Growler operational deployment was announced on 17 February 2011. In service, the EA-18's radio name during flight operations will be Grizzly. The Growler nickname sounded too much like the EA-6B's Prowler name, so Grizzly will be used to avoid confusion. By May 2011, 48 Growlers had been delivered to the U.S. Navy. With the termination of the EB-52H standoff jammer, the Growler became the sole remaining manned tactical jammer. Air Staff Requirements Director Marge Gen. David Scott has indicated that the USAF will seek to provide electronic warfare officers to fly on U.S. Navy Growlers, without providing funding to purchase additional aircraft. U.S. Air Force personnel of 390th Electronic Combat Squadron stationed at NAS Whidbey Island have been supporting and flying the Growler. The EA-18G was first used in combat during Operation Odyssey Dawn, enforcing the UN no-fly zone over Libya in 2011. 5 EA-18 gigaseconds were redeployed from Iraq to support operations in Libya in 2011. Australia. In 2008, the Australian government requested export approval from the US government to purchase up to 6 EA-18 gigaseconds, which would be part of the order for 24 A-18F Super Hornets. On the 27th of February 2009, Defense Minister Joel Fitzgibbon announced that 12 of the 24 Super Hornets on order would be wired on the production line for future fit-out as each-18 gigaseconds. The additional wiring would cost $35 million. The final decision on conversion to each-18 gigaseconds, at a cost of $300 million, was to be announced in March 2012. On the 23rd of August 2012, the Australian government announced that 12 RAF Super Hornets would be fitted with Growler capability at a cost of $1.5 billion, making the Royal Australian Air Force the only military other than the U.S. to operate the Growler's electronic jamming equipment. On the 3rd of May 2013, the Australian government announced that it will buy 12 new-build Growlers to supplement the existing Super Hornet fleet. Australia took delivery of the first of 12 Growlers on the 29th of July 2015, with delivery of the remaining jets expected by 2017. Uniquely, Australian Growlers will be equipped with the ASQ-228 ATF LIR targeting pod and will also have additional air-to-air weapons in the form of the AIM-9X missile. The aircraft will be operated by No. 6 Squadron RA operators. Australia Royal Australian Air Force No. 6 Squadron RA, United States Air Force 390th Electronic Combat Squadron provides training for electronic warfare officers for Navy units. Naval Strike and Air Warfare Center. Specifications. Data from Boeing brochure and U.S. Navy FA-180F fact file. General characteristics. Crew. 2. Length 60 feet 1.25 in. Wingspan 44 feet 8.5 in. Height 16 feet. Wing area 500 feet 2. Empty weight 33,094 pounds. Loaded weight 48,000 pounds. Recovery weight max takeoff weight 66,000 pounds. Power plant 2 times General Electric F414GE400 turbofans. Dry thrust 14,000 lbf each. Thrust with afterburner 22,000 lbf each. Internal fuel capacity 13,940 pounds. External fuel capacity 9,774 pounds. Performance. Maximum speed Mach 1.8 at 40,000 feet. Range 1,275 nmi. Clean +2 AIM-9S. Combat radius 390 nmi for interdiction mission. Ferry range 1,800 nmi, range without ordnance, service ceiling and GT 50,000 feet. Wing loading 92.8 pounds, feet 2, thrust weight 0.93. Armament guns, none. Hard points, 9 total, 6 times under wing, and 3 times under fuselage with a capacity of 17,750 pounds. External fuel and ordnance. Notes: the two wingtips missile launcher rail for AIM-9 Sidewinder found on the EF Super Hornet have been replaced with an ALQ-218 detection pods, 6 removable under-wing mounted hardpoints, 2 multi-mode conformal fuselage stations, 1 centerline fuselage removable hardpoint, 4 an ALQ-99 low-band jamming pod. Weapons employment. Currently, Phase 1 of the Growler will carry the AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles for self-protection at the 2 conformal fuselage stations and AGM-88 missiles. The AA-49A2 gun system with the 20mm M61A2 cannon has been removed and replaced by a pod of electronic boxes that control the ALQ-218 and assist with the coordination and ALQ-99 jamming attacks. According to the possible weapon configurations which were revealed, EA-18G would also be capable of performing time-sensitive strike missions, carrying AGM-154J SOW under wings, or multi-sensor reconnaissance missions with Sharp and an ASQ-228 ATF LAR on centerline and left conformal weapon stations, respectively. Avionics Raytheon and APG-79 active electronically scanned array radar. Mnemonics Inc. 990-1119-001 Electronic Attack Unit AES Mission Computer.